My name's Sez. Vicky and John asked me to share my story, so I'll get into it as quickly as possible. I'm an adoptee. I'm also an addict, and those things go hand in hand, you know. My biological mother loved drugs so much that she blessed me with them in the womb, and I came out loving them. When I was about 12, my mom suffered a spinal injury and she was in the hospital for a couple of years. And I don't remember what I got on my 12th birthday or what I did for Christmas, but I do remember my dad picking me and my brother up from school and saying, "Your mom is going to die, and when she dies, I'm going to kill myself." And we were living in Germany at the time, so I was 12, and instead of crying, I was trying to figure out how to book a plane ticket because I didn't know. I was like, who can I ask? Who can I ask to book a plane ticket? Where are we gonna go? I'm gonna be an orphan. Anyway, she didn't die, thankfully. But yeah, it's funny that that would pop into my head a lot. We moved back to Canada, and while we were in Germany, I had drank. First time I got drunk, I was 10. I loved the way it felt like a hug. And because my mom was severely disabled at that point, I wasn't getting that. So moved back to Canada and immediately found drugs. Found so much love in drugs. And I had this rule that was never say no. So I tried anything and everything. I was in 9th grade, ripping lines of speed, drinking, smoking a ton of weed, as so many do. And and that's how I got through life. And my mental health was terrible, and I never planned for anything. Because I figured, why plan if I'm just going to die anyway? I never expected to make it past 15 or 16 or 17. And every birthday was like, oh, fuck, gotta do it again. So I just kept doing that over and over and over. Suicide attempt, self-harm, risky sex, everything. And then I met my drug of choice. And fuck, if I thought I loved drugs before then, I didn't know anything. I became infatuated with my drug of choice, would do anything for it. And all of these values that I thought I had suddenly went out the window. I said I'd never drink and drive, and I was doing that immediately. I said I'd never do drugs and drive, other than weed. And I was doing that. I was going on benders. I was doing anything and everything to get what I wanted, which was my drug of choice. And I was so good at hiding it, If you didn't use with me, you didn't know. My parents didn't know. They didn't understand why I was asking them for money every single month. But I always had an excuse, right? Like, oh, I got a bunch of tickets and I have to pay rent. And they would send me money because, they love me. And it kept going like that. Just obsessed with drugs, kept doing it. When I was about 21, I went on a meth bender. And for 3 days, just kept doing meth. And I was about 6 hours away from home. And at the end, I was like, well, I got to drive home. And after a certain amount of drugs and sleep, you start to hallucinate. And I got in my car, and my partner at the time was with me, and he slept in the back, and I drove home. And I still to this day don't know how I made it home without killing myself or somebody else, because I was hallucinating the entire time. I didn't know where I was on the road. I thought the trees were falling all around me the entire 6 hours. I couldn't close my eyes. I was sweating bullets. My teeth were grinding. And when I got home, I got out of my car and I said, holy fuck, how did I do that? But that didn't scare me enough, you know? I was like, wow, that was crazy. Can't believe I did that. And I kept going. COVID happened, and that accelerated it even more, because then I didn't have to hide my drug uses publicly. I could just sit in my parents' basement and do drugs and drink all day, every day. I dropped out of school. That's all I did. And I worked in the social services the entire time. Not the entire time, but since I was 18, I worked in the social services, and I hid it from everybody. And then I met my other drug of choice, which my first one was an upper and this one was a downer. And I thought because it was a downer, it didn't impact me. And I quickly became addicted. I didn't know I was addicted until I stopped, and the withdrawals were terrible. They were so terrible. And I said, oh, damn, I have a problem. And then I started doctor shopping, which means going to doctors everywhere asking for that pill. And it took a doctor saying you need to go to rehab for me to be like, I don't need your rehab. I'll do it alone. So I suffered through the withdrawals alone. I was like, that was stupid. But I kept doing my other drugs. And then I overdosed on my first drug of choice, which it's a stimulant, and stimulant overdoses are scary because you can feel yourself dying. Somehow made that through, and that still didn't scare me. It scared me for a couple weeks, and I said, I'm not doing that anymore. But a couple weeks later came, and there I was doing it again. It's crazy to think back on it. Today I have 81 days clean, and it's crazy to think back on it. You know, I run into this guy often that Vicky and John know, who I helped him get off the streets while I was in active addiction. And every time he sees me, he said, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here. And he recently found out that I was using the entire time I was helping him. I was ripping lines in my car halfway through the workday just to get through, you know? Yeah, it was bad, you know? Psychosis, everything. And I just kept going through that. I kept stopping for a bit and saying I can do it. And I couldn't. And in November, I ended up in the hospital after a suicide attempt, and my second drug of choice was reintroduced to me, and I took that and I ran with it, and I was right back where I started. You know, I didn't leave my house for about 2 weeks because I was just using inside, and couldn't drive because I was like, oh, I can't drive when I'm high anymore. That's my hard line, you know? And it wasn't until my friend, who's here, picked me up and took me to an NA meeting. And I was high when I went. And I sat and I thought, what the hell? This is a cult. But I kept going back. I kept going back because I was like, man, I gotta do something about this. I can't keep doing drugs. My life is going to end. It's either this or I'm going to die. And I kept going back, and now I'm clean, man. It's crazy. It's crazy the way that the world works, and I'm just so grateful. I'm so grateful that I get to be here today and share my story and remember every single second of it, because I'm not high, which is crazy. Sorry.